What's up, guys? Sunday morning here in Grand Forks. Just gonna do a quick arm lift. All I got is close grip pin press from a mid-range, so it's not even a full range of motion pin press. Then I'm gonna do some lying triceps extensions and then some deficit pendlay rows. Giant sets of 30 reps for all three of the exercises, and that's all I'm gonna do. So I'll talk to you guys between sets. This is the type of training I typically like to do on Sundays along with some cardio, so I'm gonna get on the Peloton treadmill after this. This lift probably won't take more than 25 minutes. Listening to a podcast right now instead of music. A lot of times I actually do enjoy listening to podcasts more than music when I lift. It really just depends on my mood, but it's a lot more peaceful listening to podcasts. I can think about things more deeply that are not training related. All right, gonna start this giant set at 265 here. I'm not even really going for a certain time to beat. I just wanna get 30 quality reps in. I don't know how many sets it's gonna take. I don't really care either. Just get the reps done. 8 there. What's your opinion on high school athletes lifting at commercial gyms with their friends, like hitting arms on their free time? Would you tell them to stop doing that and save themselves for their actual lifts with their teams? They're supposed to be lifting with their teams. Yeah, I would say go lift with your teams, but I don't ever go to commercial gyms. I always just lift in my garage or on campus. So I never see this avatar that people online complaining about, like the high school kids doing curls in the squat rack. I don't see anything like that, but if I did see something like that, I probably wouldn't care. Just generally, I think it's probably, there's a lot worse things that a high school kid could be doing than just like doing bicep curls in the mirror at a Planet Fitness. And I want to encourage him to go train. So like, to answer the question, if I don't know if he has lifts with his team, but I see high school kids doing curls in the squat rack or like being a little bit rambunctious in a commercial gym, I wouldn't really care. I think it's good for him to at least like be out and doing exercise. But if he's supposed to be lifting with a team and that subject came up and I found out, and he like told me that he has lifts with his team, but he's deciding to come to like a commercial gym, I would say, yeah, it's probably better for you to go lift with your team. If he wants to do like extra stuff at a Lifetime and the extra stuff is just arms, I don't think that's really an issue. That's 16, got 14 reps left. What are your thoughts on swimming for non-swimmer athletes? I think it's a good use of your time. If you want to use it for cardio, it's good. It's good activity. Doing something is always better than not doing something. Now, obviously, you have to be smart about allocating your time appropriately. Ugh. 22. What do you think about seated good mornings? I'm not a huge fan of seated good mornings. I've played around with them. I've done them on myself. I've never programmed them for a client or an athlete that I work with, but I have tried them for myself. I don't really get much out of them. I think it's funny, the memes that Jake Tura makes about the seated good mornings. It's better off doing a standing good morning. You're better off doing a lot of other exercises if you're trying to target the lower back, or if you're trying to target the glutes or the hamstrings, whatever. You're trying to do another hinge pattern. I think a standing good morning is a lot better. But if you want to try seated good mornings and see if it works for yourself, go ahead and do them. Ugh. 26. Right now I'm listening to Tim Pool. So you guys know who Tim Pool is, his Culture War podcast. I'll listen to PBD, I'll listen to Michael Knowles, I'll listen to Tim Pool, I'll listen to various strength and conditioning podcasts. Anytime I'm doing cardio, if I'm like running miles on my treadmill, I'll always put a podcast on instead of music, because that way I can think about stuff instead of like music is just blasting in my ear. And on a day like today where I'm just doing arms, I'm not doing anything where I really have to like hunker down and brace hard for. It's just a pretty chill, low maintenance day. A podcast suits this vibe pretty well. Line tricep extension here. Dude, there's nothing that gets your triceps as sore as this exercise. If you use the shoulder movement, if you go all the way down to the floor or close to going all the way down to the floor, and you flex and extend your shoulder with your elbows, nothing gets you more sore than this exercise, dude. All right, 8 for that first set. How long do you hold a yielding isometric for? Really however long you want, dude. I do encourage, if you're gonna do a yielding isometric, that you go heavy and you use a weight that you're like struggling to last 30 seconds. Here's the thing with yielding isometrics, and I'm writing this in my newest ebook that I'm gonna try to get out in August. Doing a yielding isometric, let's say you're doing a body weight, split squat, isometric hold. You can hold that for minutes on end and you really get this big burning sensation in your quads and your hamstrings and your calves and your glutes. You might quit the isometric before you've actually like stimulated the muscle for like a strength adaptation. Whereas if you're using a heavy weight that you can only hold for 10 to 15 seconds, you are stimulating that muscle to a near full extent. You don't have to deal with the burning sensation to get that motor unit recruitment, to get that muscle stimulated. For the rare times that I actually do program yielding isometrics or just like static isometric holds, we'll do a groin plank, we'll do a split squat iso hold, like for the volleyball team that I work with or the softball team that I work with. I don't think I ever exceed 30 seconds for the set. And then I just encourage them to go heavy because I want them shaking. I want them like feeling like they're not gonna make it the whole time. I want them feeling like they can't get 20 seconds. I think it works better if they have to hold heavy dumbbells, like 60-pound dumbbells in both hands, that they can only hold it for 15 seconds. Then if I say, hey, we're gonna do a 1 to 2 minute iso hold, and then they end up holding 15 or 20-pound dumbbells and they're shaking, yeah, it's hard, but then the way that they would wanna progress is by adding time instead of just adding load. Hopefully that makes sense. I kind of rambled on, but hopefully that answer makes sense. 16. Question from Cheeks. Cheeks, what's up, man? I appreciate you watching all my videos. Do you have any shoe recommendation for sprinting? I don't have a recommendation, but let me get out my shoes that I sprint for quick and show you what I use. So when I go sprint on like a football field, this is what I wear. These are Adidas. I honestly don't know like what make or model they are, but these are the Adidas that I like to wear. Some pretty nice track shoes. These are the track spikes that I have. These are Nikes. I don't know what make or model again, but they're Nikes. Sometimes I go sprint on my street because I don't live on a very busy street. So when I have clients and we're doing some sprinting, my Icarus shoes, I think I've talked about these before. These are really nice too. You can use them for like just casual wear or for workout shoes. And then I got my Ons too. So. Uh, 24. Oh, this is a good question. As someone who doesn't believe in dynamic correspondence, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the advantages that sled sprints pose as opposed to just repping out unweighted sprints. So the way I would frame this answer is that we all would agree that sprinting is good for you. It provides a really potent stimulus to drive various positive adaptations. So you want to sprint, you want to get good at sprinting. Sprinting helps you get faster. Now, if you add a sled to it, you're just creating more constraints to the task of sprinting, which is also good. So you're making the task of sprinting harder. So that's the way I would frame it. You could make the argument that sled sprints are beneficial for acceleration purposes. Try to make those kinds of arguments, and I would listen to you. I wouldn't really reject any of those arguments. That's just not the way I would frame it. That's probably the perfect weight to use for a giant set. Eight. Wow, I'm choosing weight that I'm going to get 8 reps with for that first set every time. What is your take on Mark Rippetoe's claim that standing vertical jump is an untrainable genetic quality? That is, the percentage of motor units you are able to recruit in a short instant of time cannot be improved. Only absolute strength can be improved. Yeah, I disagree with Rippetoe on that one. Rip actually gets a lot of things right and doesn't get nearly enough credit for the things that he gets right. But something like that, I disagree with him on. But he's definitely right that you can train for maximal strength for a much longer point of time than you can like any other quality. I've talked about this before, but like the diminishing returns from strength occur way later than people think. And the diminishing returns that occur from training for speed, for power, just for so many other qualities occur at a much faster rate. $16. $22. These things are deceivingly tiring, like a dumbbell row, like a Prowler push. Speaking of dynamic correspondence and Prowler pushes, and how I saw this one video of Buddy Morris saying that he would rather have his offensive linemen push Prowlers as their primary way of strength training compared to back squatting. And what he said is because that's what they do in sports, is that they lean on someone and push. Regarding dynamic correspondence and pushing a Prowler for football, that rationale is poor for dynamic correspondence. But actually what I think would be a decent argument if you want to take the position of a dynamic correspondence, if you want to make that the angle of your argument, it's that a Prowler push, much like a Pendlay row here, is you are alternating between Valsalva maneuver to move the load and trying to recycle your breath. So like when you're pushing a Prowler, you have to brace, but you also have to march, and you have to walk, and you have to run, you have to breathe, and it's a you're recycling breath going back and forth from Valsalva maneuver and breathing. In terms of dynamic correspondence, that's a much better rationale than you're leaning on someone and pushing, therefore that makes more sense for a football player compared to a back squat. So that's actually one angle in which Prowler pushes mirror football more than a back squat would. It's not because you're leaning on someone and pushing, it's because in sport, in a contact sport, there's this constant alternating between breathing, Valsalva, quick breath, quick Valsalva, quick breath, quick Valsalva. That's where the dynamic correspondence actually could make sense. What are your thoughts on heavy reverse lunges? I'm a huge fan of heavy reverse lunges. They're in the Haas project. I program them a lot for my athletes, for my clients. Huge fan of heavy reverse lunges. They're great for strength, great for hypertrophy. Go heavy on them. Yeah, reverse lunges, walking lunges. Yeah, love them. I have an overhead press standard. Being able to rep 135 always seemed like a good goal for me. Yeah, I actually think a 225. If you can overhead press 2 plates, I think that's a cooler milestone than a 315 bench. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.